No, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to be here. In this morning, this moment that we took to come here and come not only in the companionship of people who, like us, are trying to improve their lives, or maybe became touched at one point in our lives, that we think it is important to take time, sometime from our normally very, very busy life, and come here together, not only this Sunday, but in the studies of Spiritism, etc., so that we can maybe get in touch with that very deep and real part of us, which is our spirit or spiritual essence. Normally, from Monday through Saturday, and many times Sunday, we spend a very, very busy life trying to take care of this physical body. So we have to work because we need to buy food and sustenance for our bodies, and we also need shelter. So we're busy. Sometimes we work, there are people who work 8 hours a day, others 10 hours a day. But we get busy and we get tired. And so there are certain things in our lives, especially when it is when it relates to the relationship to the people that we live with, people who are part of our daily lives, we tend to neglect. But everything that we do in life, and including not paying our bills on time, that we're going to see that our credit score is going to go down and we're going to have problems getting loans in the future. So all those things that we do will eventually catch up with us. There's no way that it will not. Anything that we do will catch up with us. If we do what's good actions, then in the future, maybe in the immediate future, it is already doing good to us because we're doing good. So it's going to catch up with us. If we do bad things, things that are not that right or righteous for us, including maybe causing suffering or sorrow to other people, especially the people who are part of our family group, then in the future it's going to catch up with us as well. There's no way that we can get away from it. If it doesn't catch up with us in this life, will eventually catch up with us. So we live all this very, very busy life, and most of humanities don't think about those things in their day-to-day life. So normally, and that is from my experience working in the past with people who are approaching death, I have learned. So those people, like, they're diagnosed with a terminal illness, and their bodies, their energy, their organs start to become weak. And that happens with a lot of people when their journey on earth ends or is ending, and the new life is going to start. Their transition from this earth life to the spirit life. So at that moment, when your body is weak, you have no energy. You don't have to worry about going to work the next day. Your fate on earth is already sealed. You know that what's going to happen. You cannot many times move, especially if you are in a hospital. Then there is one place, and one place only, that you can go. And that is within your own self. And it so happens, it's so marvelous that there is this thing in us, and that is the Spirit talking to us, that we don't even have to search for what we have done in life or what we have done right or wrong in life. It jumps at you. It jumps to your consciousness. And then you have all that processing while you have no place to go. You're not, the time of a transition is not yet come. And then you start evaluating your life. And we see that often, people approaching death, and we see that often also in cases of near-death experience, when the person has a condition and the body is rendered unconscious, the mind is unconscious, there's flat line, so that person then leaves the physical body, leaves the physical space, and go for a few minutes or more, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, there are cases of half an hour, that transition. Go and experience that moment in the spirit life. And then the very first thing that comes into their mind is how they have lived their lives up to that moment. And guess what jumps out first? The bad things. The things that we have not done correctly. So that jumps at us. And it jumps and gives us the opportunity to fix what we're doing. To fix the way that we're living our life. To change our priorities and prioritize things in the order that they should be for our spiritual growth. So these things, the four things that matter most, these are four things. Actually, there is a fifth thing that we're going to talk at the end. But basically, there are these four things that I witnessed working with people who were about to transition to the spirit life. And then also there are other workers, nurses and doctors that work in hospice, because the hospice system in the United States is very advanced. It's the place when the person knows that has a terminal illness. So there's all kinds of support. There's hospital, or you can stay home and people come and care with you, care for your loved ones or you, if that is the case. So they take like palliative care. So they know that the body is not going to be fixed, that life is ending. So they try to do and keep the person comfortable physically without pain. Also, there's spiritual guidance from chaplains, from psychologists, and that can come and help. And that at that moment, then the person, we observe this need of doing these four things, accomplishing it. And all these four things, most often, or almost 100%, it relates to our loved ones, to the people who we are around with. And we know that especially their family members. So these are the spirits that are closer to us, obviously. Our mother, fathers, siblings, spouses, and all that. And we know from the spirits, and Emmanuel is clear on that, and we also know from it is in our doctrine, that we come together in families. And the people that we are surrounded with, the people that we are here incarnated with, most often we are old acquaintances from in the spirit life before we came in other lives, and we have things that we need to take care of among ourselves many times. So we come here to make amends. We come here together to fix things. Be it hatred, or be it support, or doing something of value to that person. So we are evolutionary mates, partners. So we decided consciously before we incarnated, to come and join this group of spirits that we knew, to help each other advance in their evolutionary path, get better. That is the goal that we all have. to become better in each incarnation towards a path of perfection, which is very, very far away, but we don't care about that. At least we do things now that can help us live better lives, happier lives, both when we are incarnated and when we go back to the spirit world after we disincarnate. So the 4 things, very simple things. And one of the recorded that put in a book, he's not the first, but he's the one who organized it better. He's a medical doctor in the hospice movement, one very renowned one, Dr. Ira Bjork. And he has 25 years of hospice and many, many years working in emergency. So he then seeing that, because very caring, normally doctors in hospice, they take time to talk to the patient and to the family because it's a different story. They're not there to fix, they're not going to promise to save their lives because they know that they're can be saved and that next step, although there are cases of recuperation, getting better health at least for a while during the hospice when the person was supposed to die, because you can only go to hospice or your loved ones when you're diagnosed with 6 months or less to live. And some people, and I saw it because when I was working, there are people that are there for 5 years because they won't die. They were supposed to die in 6 months. Then they get into that environment. They receive good, it's nourishment and also psychological help. Maybe that's all they needed. And they keep getting better instead of getting worse. And that's good. So Dr. Bob put in a book that he titles The 4 Things That Matter Most. This book is about 10 years old, and it was one of the first books that I read to learn more about hospice when I volunteered or before I volunteered. And it makes sense because what he says I saw, I witnessed. So I had this idea of sharing with you guys, and because I share it with my family members, because I try to take care of that so that I don't have to worry about when my time is coming, because I want to worry about other things. So I take care of this before so that I don't need to take care of that later at that time. So here are the 4 things. Does anybody recognize the need of those and the importance of those? Those are the 4 things. The first one is forgive me. The second one is I forgive you. The third, thank you. And the 4th, I love you. And these 4 things, very simple, we should do in our everyday lives. Then there's the last one that we can see, and that also helps our transition, or their transition, that's going to help us too, is goodbye. Goodbye. Today is the 15th anniversary of an act of the apex of ignorance and fanaticism. Today is the day, it's 9/11, the day that those crazy Muslim radicals blew up the World Trade Center. 2,996 people died in that day. And many of them who were trapped and had a chance to call their families, they called their families and tried to say the 4 things. There are also calls of the Flight 93 that fell on the ground in Philadelphia, I think, Pennsylvania, that were probably targeted to the White House or to the Capitol Hill. And those people who were fighting the terrorists, some of them had a chance to call their families somehow. And also those things were there. Or if not, if time was short, at least the I love you were there. I read about this person. He was one of the quotes because they recorded it. Some were released. The man very calmly, none of those 2,996 people, except the hijackers, knew that they were going to die that day. They didn't know. They went there happily. You know, it was a beautiful day in New York. Sunny, if you all remember. It was a nice day. So all of them went there happily, as they go every day, drinking their coffee when that thing happens. So there's one other cause. This man, very calmly, first he told his wife about his insurance policy. The insurance policy, that you take care of that, it's everything. It's there, you know where it is, you know what to do with it, so you take care, use this money, take care of the children, and then I love you, forgive me, I forgive you, goodbye. So there's closure. And we know, when I was reading it, I see that first the peace that this man had to be cool enough in that circumstances to give those directions. Then you close. Then you're ready to go. I don't know, maybe he knew that there is life after death. Maybe he didn't. But anyways, he acted as such, calmly, as if he had organized everything before his departure to the next stage. So, but now, everything that we do, be it good or bad, positive or negative, we are the first ones to either profit of the good that we're doing, because that is, the goodness is reflected, the goodness that we do to others is reflected in our physical body, in our physical appearance, in our emotional health, all of that. The opposite is true. If we do bad, or if we hurt people, we are the first ones also affected negatively, because that affects our health, obviously affects our psyche, and affects everybody, and people even around us, the energy around us. So, and we know that we are in this incarnation, or every incarnation, or even after this, this incarnation, we have one goal in mind. We have one job to do. And that job is to work on our own evolution, spiritual, moral evolution. We do that ourselves. We are lone wolves in that sense, because we work in that individually. People who are around us, people who we share our lives with, people who guide us, be our parents, be our whoever, teachers, whoever, they are helpers. And their help is welcome and useful. But ultimately, our journey is individual. It's us. It's us. So when it comes to do things that we should do, things that will help in our evolution, our progress, we should take it seriously, because it's going to benefit us. We are the first, either with the reward that we get from doing what's right, following God's laws, there's more than one, right? Or suffering the consequences of things that are not that positive. So we should always keep that in mind. So now, forgive me. So what we're doing when we ask forgiveness to someone, it could be something serious or not so serious, because many times we cause hurt to people. Intentionally, sometimes, or in the heat of things, in the heat of an argument, or sometimes unintentionally. You say something that you should have said differently. It also depends on the sensitivity of that person that you're saying. Some people sometimes, I have this problem with my wife, that sometimes I tell a joke, and she take it wrong, and then then I need another day or two to explain that was not the thing. It was just something that it was not meant. It was not intentional. So sometimes that happens. So what are we doing when we forgive someone? What we're doing? We are practicing humility. And humility, as we learned from the great example of the most humble people in the world, Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus Christ, humility is one of the virtues that we must master in our spiritual evolution. That's one top. So when we do something, we're able, we say we bring ourselves to that. We are practicing humility, so we are doing good to ourselves. We are recognizing the mistake that we made. We made a mistake. We recognize it. We become humble enough, and we acknowledge to the other person that we screwed up, and screwing up is one of the biggest things that we do as humans. One day we sure will decrease the level of the screwing up, but so far it's very present very often in our lives, but working towards that. And we are having the courage. We're being courageous enough to recognize a mistake that we made, and we acknowledge and we admit it. We admitted that we made a mistake. Now, to admit that we are wrong is something that's very difficult in our lives. That was one of the things that Freud found out with his clients. It's very difficult to say that you're wrong, right? But we, in this case, we are recognizing that we are wrong. We admit it, and that's good for us too. Now, we are also recognizing that we as evolving spirits, we have limitations, and we are fallible. So it's okay. So the same time that we're recognizing all that and that we're asking someone to forgive us, at the same time, we can use and apply that to forgive ourselves. And we all have all these little things that we did in life. Some things that we don't mind telling other people. Some things that we don't want to share with other people because it's not. So what do? We did it. If we did it while we are ignorant, we didn't know, we forgive ourselves too, right? And we go and sin no more, as Jesus told the lady. And we are recognizing and respecting someone else's feeling. And as I mentioned, and as it is often, this someone else's is the person that is very close to you. Probably the person who you share your bed with. So you respect their feelings. And you know that you made a mistake, you respect because that person is hurting. So you use that time to fix that situation. Now, we're also recognizing that we caused a hurt of whatever dimension that was. Maybe just a little scratch, maybe like a deeper wound or something, but something is there. So we recognize that we inflicted this hurt, and we regret doing so. So we're doing here in forgiving is making amends for something that we did wrong to someone, normally someone we love, or someone who we have loved in the past, because especially today, right? Sometimes we have more than one family, we have more than one marriage, and the person who we used to love in the past, the guy that was our prince or princess, that we fell head over heels in love, they're not our lovers anymore. But we love that person. That person was part of our lives, part of our growth at one point in our lives. It was a person that at that time helped us also in our evolutionary path. So there's merit in there. So forgiveness should be extended to everybody, not only the person, the people that we are present with, but people who one day was part of our lives, were part of our lives. Now, regretting is a good thing, because when we come to this life, to live life on earth, we don't have a manual. We don't have a manual. There's nothing written. So it's easier today for people being born here to work on their iPhones and all that without manual, and many times without even having English as their first language. They do it easily. But to come and live, we have no manual. We learn by trial and error. That's how we do it. That's how we live. So and sometimes when we see that our life is not that happy, that we seek to find reasons why, then we might encounter it. That's why we go to a religion and practice. That's why we come here to the Spiritism, to see if we find some kind of guidance to help us live better, happier lives. So the manual is our trial. So regretting for our progress is something that is very important. Why? Regret is a crucial step in this process of evolution that we go through. It is crucial for fixing wrongs that we have done, that we recognize, and also following the path of evolution. Evolution is something that is progressive. It's from a lower point to a higher point, from an inferior point to a superior point. So it's progressive. So our spiritual evolution is something that we do for the better. And when Kardec asks about regret, and that is in part of question 992 of the Spirit's book, then Kardec asks if we regret things that we have done when we are in spirit life or when we are in incarnate life. We regret in both, and the spirits are clear, and we see that through people going through the near-death experience, that the deepest, the one that touches you the most, that regret that really causes emotional pain, is when we are out of the physical body. Consciousness is clear. We have a broad overview of everything that we have done. So we regret, and probably it is deep enough that we want to change it. And if we are incarnated here to do things, to fix things, most likely we're back here because of regrets that we have had. Things that we have not done correctly that we need to fix. So the spirits say that we regret also when we are in the spirit world. However, this regret can also play a role here. It can touch us while we are in the physical state, when we are still incarnate. And then they say that us as a spirit, that we are advancing in the present life. We are advancing now. So we are advancing every time that we're born. From the moment that we're born, we already took a step, even if it was a little one, in this progress. When we disincarnate, that we learn things, that we know things that we did wrong, we try to fix it, we follow, we continue our journey, we are progressing. So the spirits say that we can advance even in this life due to the regret, something that we know that we did wrong that we need to fix, if we have time to fix it, if we have time to repair it. this wrongdoing. So if we are people who cause or like, enjoy causing hurt to other people, and we do that. I know people who have done that. 30 years of marriage, 30 years of hell with the person that is supposed to love and protect you. So if you continue doing that, there's no regret that you're going to suffer. If you're doing that, you recognize one day you say, I need to change it. Then you start evolving from here because you're changing. You're having time to change what you're doing wrong in the present life. An addiction would be a clear example. You're addicted to drugs or alcohol, whatever, gambling, and it's a recurrent things that it's not good for your evolution. It's not good for a spiritual progress. You recognize it, that is a mistake. You regret what you were doing. You regret the way you're living your life, and you change. You have time to change. So you are progressing. Whenever your conscience reproaches you or shows you an imperfection, you have the chance to become better. Every time. And Kardec asks us, the spirits, where are the God laws, where are the divine laws written? And the answer is in the consciousness of man. So it is in our conscience. And we know, we have attained a level of IQ so far, intelligence and self-consciousness when we are doing wrong. We know when we are. It's not, we know that we're doing is wrong. Even my cat knows that when she does something wrong. Because when she does something wrong and she sees me, she runs and she hides behind a recyclable garbage bin. And it's a cat. So we know when we're doing things wrong. So we can fix it. Why? Because it's good for us. It's good for us. That's what we want. Now, how forgiveness benefits us. We are shedding a burden which otherwise we could carry for a lifetime, as frequently seen in the deathbed. When a person is approaching death, it's there. It's clear. It's like a billboard saying it. And you feel it, and you need to fix it. So we ask forgiveness to the person. We're doing our job. We're doing what we need to do. Whether that person is going to forgive us or not, we don't know. And we don't care. We hope that person forgives us when we ask. But if he or she decides not to for whatever reason, we can't do anything about it. We did our part. We are humble enough. We recognize the mistake and we try to fix it. Then the burden is on the other side. We already did our share. So we also are releasing a poison which, if left too long, may ruin our physical health. This is study. Regrets, all this that we have, remorses, there's all these things, grudges that we hold. They are physically, their damages is physically seen in heart problems, diabetes, cancer, and so forth. And there are already, Bernie Siegel was one of the first, I think one of the most popular doctors who, when giving a treatment to the person, or prescribing the treatment, also studied the emotional life of that person, how the person's life was. And many times there are people who had serious diseases and holding grudges, resentments for years. So when he was able to show that person that the feelings that she had, all that, it was also influencing the unhealthy state of her body, and the person decided to change, she or he got better. So there is a measurable, studied in psychology and also medicine, the damages that these things do to our physical body, and consequently also to our spiritual evolution, because it hurts us. We are also making room for a more positive relationship with the person or people in question, the people who are. We're opening new channels of relationships. A person who in the future might be, might be helpful to us in somehow, and vice versa, we to them. And most importantly, we are seeing a sign that we are in the right path of spiritual evolution. To learn to forgive and to ask forgiveness. To love, do good. These are like top lessons that we need to master in our path towards perfection. Now, number 2 is I forgive you. So when we forgive someone, we are doing ourselves a favor, not that person. Like Shakespeare said that when we hold grudges, resentments against people, it's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die, not knowing that we are poisoning ourselves. So we are releasing the person from a regret that she or might carry around for years. Many people don't forgive because of their ego. It's too demeaning for them. They're too proud to bow to you and ask you for forgiveness. Some people are like that. At least during their lifetimes, when they're healthy. Because I have seen grown men crying because of that. And I have noticed and seen that people who were supposed to die, all the signs of disincarnation was there. But they would not let go until the moment that they had to ask someone forgive or offer someone forgiveness. We can see that in one of the jobs of social workers and chaplains and psychologists in hospice is to try and locate that person. Either bring the person there to the bedside, or if it's not possible, then call the person on the phone and resolve that issue. Because all those things, this remorse, this resentment, this lack of closure in our relationships will not make our passage easy. Now, we also recognize in the limitation and fallibilities of that person as evolving in spirit, just like us. We are all in the same boat. We are all evolving. We are no different than each other. We make the same mistakes, right? And we approach those mistakes in our lives in different ways. But basically, we are all here trying to become better, each one of us. And we are practicing compassion, benevolence, tolerance, understanding towards the person who hurt us. And these are also compassion, benevolence, tolerance, understanding, are the qualities that Jesus came not to teach, but he showed us. Or he taught us by doing it, by walking his talk. This is how you need to live your life to be more useful, right, to yourself and society, to evolve, to get better. They're all here. So every act that we do, it's the first beneficiary is us. And obviously, the way we change, the way we act in our lives, in our daily lives, we're going to influence people around us. Those people are closer to us. They see how we act. And sometimes we don't even have to teach, but they see it. So actions speak much louder than words many times, right? Now, forgiveness is the highest expression of love. So when we learn that love, especially unconditional love, the love of a mother, or most of the mothers, some of them, some children maybe would rather not be born, should have made another choice. But normally, the mother love, is like close to this unconditional love. It is towards some specific people, but our goal is to extend this unconditional love to all humanity, to all the people that we come in touch with. But normally the people that we come in touch with first is stronger are the people close to us in our families. So a love, according to Emmanuel, is one of the wings that we fly us to perfection. The other one is knowledge. So we evolve in knowledge, we evolve in love, then we evolve in knowledge, we are in the right upward path. André Louis says that forgiveness is the remedy that heals the sick soul. That we can see that, we can witness that, and we can feel that in our lives if we do that. We feel it in our guts. And when we clear the way, it feels much, much better. Life is lighter. So we have from Dr. Bach that feeling resentful toward the people we love or once loved, feeling distance from them, erodes our own happiness. It's our own happiness. It's us, because it is us putting that junk inside or leaving that junk inside. So we're doing ourselves a favor. And we have this Angela Morrow. She is also works in hospice here as a nurse. Forgiveness is ultimately a gift we give ourselves. We're not giving the other person. We are helping the other person, of course. But it is something that we do to us first. When we forgive, our spirit is set free of anger and resentment. We become much lighter. Life easier. We can almost float. Now we have this from the book of Living and Dying, the Tibetan book, that through forgiving and being forgiven, we purify ourselves of the darkness of what we have done in this life and prepare ourselves most completely for the journey through death. And we see that it is a recurrent episode. It's something, it's a recurrent happening when people are transitioning. It's a hurdle. It becomes a hurdle when those things have not been fixed. Third, thank you. There's more hunger for love and appreciation in this world than for bread, says Mother Teresa, now a Catholic saint. Gratitude implies humility, a recognition that we could not be who we are or where we are in life without the contributions of others. So this is a joint effort that we do. It's an endeavor that we hear, that we it's our journey, evolutionary journey is individual, and we do or make our own choices and own efforts to progress. We are surrounded by people that will contribute that to us. If we want to go to school, we need our parents to pay, or you need the governments to loan. We see it everywhere in our lives that people are contributing to our well-being. And we have a lot of things to appreciate. And especially when that appreciation, this thing, is from your loved ones. The husband that, at least on Sundays, bring breakfast to the wife in bed. Or the husband who sees the pile of dishes in the sink, and instead of going watch the game, take time, 10 minutes, and do that. Random acts of kindness. So we know that we contribute to other people's life, and other people contribute to us. And not often we express. Sometimes some people don't. Ideally, it would be for us to do everything to help people without expecting anything in return, not even an act of gratitude, not even a thank you. And we will get to that point. But for now, in our current state, it is good to receive a thank you. And we teach our children, right? We teach our children. Say, what are the magic words? Please and thank you when you do something. There isn't even studies now. There's Robert Emmons. He is a psychologist, and he specializes in studying the effects of gratitude in our lives. And guess what? It helps us. Improves our health, improves our psyche. It is all good for us. In gratitude, we remember the contribution that others have made for the sake of our well-being. We, on the recipient side, we acknowledge having received the benefit, and we realize that the giver acted intentionally in order to benefit us. So there is this intention for our good. So it's nice to say thank you or give a hug, pet, feels good. And I love you. This is one also that's very, very important. And the fourth thing that sort of, after those three are worked out, that bring closure to that moment. And I'm pretty sure that those people who 15 years ago died, and today, this very day, there's about 150,000 people in the world making their transition to the spirit world. Another 300,000 coming back from the spirit world to here. Now, how many of these 150,000 who are leaving Earth today have done all this and finished all this and having a very nice, peaceful transition that it will not require too much work from the spirit side of life? So many of those. One day, we're going to be one of those. So how ready are we? So how have we closed everything? Have we done everything so that we can go fly to the next stage of living without looking back? Because that's the goal. The goal is for us to do everything that we do here the best we can, helping as much as we can our loved ones in our society, so that we know that we have left with our job done, or the consciousness that we did the best we could and we have no regrets. We go, we fly into the sunset, and we don't look back, because we know that we have done it right. I love you. Love is beyond romance. It's beyond, it's more than that. We have from a Webster dictionary, it is a unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. For the good of another, altruism. We not even think about us. We were thinking about the other, and we know that Jesus taught that what you do to others, in Spiritism, in our doctrine, that is clear. It is what we do for others. It's how we help others. And the reward that we have is happiness, because we are going to feel very good and happy helping other people, making other people's lives easier to bear, especially when it is very difficult or they're going through hard times in this reincarnation. Now, for a physical wound to heal, all dirt and infected tissues have to be washed away. For an emotional wound to heal, all the toxic material between two people needs to be washed away. So this is something that we can start today. Mentally, we can start right now without having to wait until that moment that's going to cause us more hurt. So the time to wipe the slate clean is now, not later. Thank you very much. You all have a wonderful end of Sunday and a wonderful week, wonderful life.